What's up guys, Daniel here with Woodland Acres. Not my typical video. I'm not outside obviously walking around with the camera, and I do have a product that's in front of me. This is not an advertisement. This is simply my hopeful solution to keeping Bernard, our Great Pyrenees, contained within our property. Just a real quick background for those of you that don't follow the channel. We have a Great Pyrenees Bernard who we got as a puppy to essentially free range our yard, to keep our chickens safe, to keep the coyotes away, to keep wildlife away. Now that he's matured, he's had a tendency to run off after coyotes. For the most part stays on our property, but we live too close to railroad tracks and freeway that's about a half mile away. I try to come up with a solution to keeping him on the property without having to keep him contained just in the back area. Looking into the obvious solutions like fencing, that would cost us several $1,000s. Just to get the fencing in, gates in place for the driveway, and then on top of that, I would have to run hot wire fence. That's essentially what's keeping them contained in the back area of our property with our cattle is for the most part, the physical fence and the hot wire fence. So to add that to the front area, several $1,000s. Some of you may be thinking, well, why not try to retrain him? Well, we have. We've gone through just continuous training. I've gone through continuous training with him to keep him on the property. Truth be told, he's a Great Pyrenees. He's meant to roam. He's bred to roam. He's bred to protect acres and acres of land. We're only on 9 acres, and we're surrounded by open farmland. So to him, all that land is his. Gonna get this charged and set up. I'll give it a try, and then I'll get some video of that on Bernard. We'll see what the training system's like, and then finally, I'll let you guys know what I think and if it actually did the trick.
The following day.
Bernard, come on, let's go.
3 days later.
Good boy, good boy.
1 week later.
Bernard, do you like the halo? It's a little bulky, but he doesn't seem too bothered by it. Just kidding. Yeah, he's still getting used to it.
3 weeks later.
I'm back with the halo. It's been a few weeks since I've unboxed it. I'm gonna try to make this quick because I'm outside, it's getting late, and it's cold here in Kansas City. Chiefs just won the Super Bowl, but that's a different video. Halo, pretty cool collar. I must admit, this is more of a collar that you would expect in this day and age. The collars that I think are on the market still, the standard underground wire fence, those are dated collars. I mean, this collar here is the real deal, but it also is really pricey. Until it's really more widely adopted, you're probably not gonna see that price drop much. It does require a bit of training. You gotta be committed to the training process. There's about an hour or so of videos that you're watching. The training does focus more on the positive aspect, the positive encouragement. Even though it has the vibration and the shock, the correction, it doesn't really even mention that because the collar tries not to focus on utilizing that prevention aspect. It focuses more on the encouragement aspect of keeping your dogs within their boundary. Bernard picked up on that pretty quick because we've trained him on that before. We've utilized a bell in the past where he would get rewarded every time he heard the bell, and so he associated that part of the training pretty quick. In this case, it was a whistle that he hears on the collar. So anyways, when we finally put it to use, once again, it worked when he was out with us, no desire to leave or anything. But the minute we left, went inside the house, I got an alert. Not long after, it's towards evening hours, pretty much prime time when the coyotes are hollering in the background, and that's most likely what triggered it for Bernard. Got an alert on the phone, he left the boundary. Immediately checked my phone, and I could see him going further and further away from our property. Now, the one thing that sold me on this collar initially was that with typical collars, once they hit that boundary, they get a temporary correction. But once they pass that boundary, they're not getting a correction anymore. So they can continue to keep going, and there's no more correction. With this one, with the halo, if they continue to go for another 300 feet, they'll continue to get a correction for another 300 feet past your boundary. And the idea here is that what I thought was, well, if Bernard gets correction, he's going to be enticed to come back, because if they stop or they turn around, the collar is going to stop sending a correction to them. So you would think that, okay, well, if he's getting a correction going further out, but he stops and he turns around, he's not getting correction, well, he's going to be encouraged to go the way that he's not getting correction. And I think that's the right idea, and that's once again what sold me on this, but it didn't work. That's what I'm kind of frustrated about. The training doesn't really cover much of that because once again, it doesn't focus much on the prevention aspect of it. I could just see him on the GPS as he was getting out. He would just stop. He probably got the correction, and he'd go a little bit further and stop because he'd get the correction. And then finally he just passed that 300 feet and he was just kind of out. He wasn't getting correction anymore. At that point I pretty much knew once he's out past our property, at that point his mind is in a different place. His mind is, all right, let me go mark my territory. Let me go make sure all the predators are away. Let me make sure these coyotes are nowhere near. And that's where his mind at. His mind is no longer focused on, oh, treat, oh, let me go get this yummy goodie. He doesn't care at that point. At this point, what he cares about is doing his job. So he's just doing what he's meant to do. And so to him, our 9 acres is not his land. It's the 200 acres that's around us is his land. This just didn't work. It just didn't stop him. I didn't even encourage him to come back because even with the numerous attempts to whistle and call for him, he was just so focused on what he was trying to do, which was to just go out and he was really just exploring the farmland. I mean, with the GPS, I noticed he didn't even go to the subdivisions that were south of us. He didn't go to any of the developed areas. He was just on the open farmland. He would go to the wooded areas where there's a creek, abandoned house, which most likely is where coyotes and stuff are hanging out around that area. So that's where he was going. And he finally, I mean, he came back and there's no issue. He never has an issue coming back home. But, you know, even sending the whistle to him, even sending him a vibrate, that still wasn't enough to stop him. Like, can't say it wouldn't work for your dog. If you have a puppy and you're training on him something like this, it'd probably work. But yeah, Bernard's, I used to call him stubborn. I don't think he's stubborn. He's just really got a really strong guardian drive. And with him being his size, he's got a high pain tolerance. There's just no stopping him. So in short, the halo did not work for us. I hope it works for you guys. I'm sure it works for many owners out there, but I did have somebody else chime in on one of my other videos that has Great Pyrenees, and they said it didn't work either for their Great Pyrenees. And I just heard some coyotes, and he's out there barking at them right now. Normally he would be here sitting with me because the barn door is open, but he's not focused on that right now. He's focused on those coyotes. And so if you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them below, but it's a no-go on the halo for me. So thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it. Till the next video.